Now, when we moved into Dansazania to the Milk Park Sports Complex, as you all know, it was a burnt down building. It was the old scout hall that was burnt to the ground, and the place was overrun with criminals. It was noted as the highest crime spot area in all the regions. There were stabbings, killings, murders, muggings, all down that block, Carlo and Rustenburg Road. Since we moved in there, we have stopped it. There's no more crime there. So when we got in there, we discovered around the storm drain, which is adjacent to the property, there were at least 70 vagrants living in the tunnels. In the tunnels of the storm drains, as well as behind CSRR. And now these vagrants, as we call them, I call them displaced people, were old, young, all categories of human beings. We look at them and we say, why are you here? What is the reason for you being here? We don't, first of all, I'm a child between the ages of 16 to 18. They're still children. There's little ones from the ages of 10 to 12. Then there's very old people that are so old they were on crutches, that couldn't actually move. Even if you came there with a bomb, they wouldn't be able to move. So we had to discover a way on how we could help. Because the Metropolitan Police, God bless them, they come along, they don't have time. They load them all up in a van, and off we go to wherever we got to go. But 24 hours later, we're all back again. So they don't have the time for all this as well. So as a resident, we then said, what do we do? So we called the city of Johannesburg, and we were put into this whole load of wonderful supporters. And from the displaced unit to the intakes, to the placement, to the skills development, to the job creation, to the drug support programs, it's all there. It's all available to us. So we decided to go with it. So we called the displaced people, and out she came with her vans, with counsellors all in it. They came and spoke to every one of the vagrants, picked them all up and took them and placed them in shelters, in places to rehabilitate. I've got 7 guys that are calling me non-stop today that are all in jobs at the moment, that were living in that storm drain. So in addition to that, we have got Digger Lady, who I must just mention, she brought her vans, came with counsellors, got them into the vans, took them and placed them. And we never saw them again. In addition to that, we have older people that she also sent vans to. And we picked up the aged. And we placed them in Wedge Farm, we placed them in all the age, Salvation Army, everywhere. And they were all placed. They never came back again. Then we have the criminal. There is a lot. They're criminal, but they don't stay long. They stay 3 or 4 days at the most. That is a bit of a problem, because then in those 3 or 4 days, those criminals are robbing and carrying on and running into Melville and doing their damage. And the police have come. We've called the Parkview Police because we had a letter from the Parkview Police, Colonel Mudley, to compliment us on how we have helped them to rid their ward of many criminals. We call them and they come down and they do a raid on the criminals. And there has been 22 criminals arrested in those storm drains by the Parkview Police. They have taken them off and they have been serving time, and most of them are still there. Because why we know is because word gets out. We've got to protect ourselves as well. So word gets out, Seppo's in jail, this one's Moya's been arrested. We seem to get to know them by name. Anyway, off they've gone. So if you look along the storm drains now, you will find no vagrants. But believe me, down at the bottom of Rustenburg Road, there is a criminal element developing there. And when they see me walking down there, they've gone. They go. Because they know we're not going to put up with them there. We're going to find help from the different departments within the city of Johannesburg to come and sort out that issue. And they have done it. So that is how we've cleared our area. Whilst we are in this development stage, we have now been addressed with a lot of vagrants in Melville. Because we have been so successful through the city to place and skills development, etc., many of these, they have come to us to ask us, Granny, can you help me? I want to get off the street. I want to go back to school. I need to do this. And they come and ask me personally to help them. Unfortunately, we have a small issue with the shelter place that were open, which Dickie Leddy did manage to assist us with. They closed over the December period, and of course, some of the vagrants came back to Melville. Now, vagrants, we've got 15, 16, and 17-year-olds in Melville. We don't have many adults. We have all those young people. These kids should go back to school, but they're all on drugs. Every one of them are on drugs. I've gone down to KFC where they were sitting with UJ. We've locked that section up. But unfortunately, I'm a humanist, so I can't lock them up and have them all arrested and thrown into jail. So we've moved them on to McDonald's. They are now. They are in McDonald's. Now they're waiting for help. Every single day of my life, they're waiting. Granny, have you got something? Can you do something? Now, until such time as we get a drug rehabilitation center where we can put these heroin addicts for 6 months in hospital for 6 months to help them, we're not going to get them off the street. This is an inpatient thing. Now, I know we have a satellite station at Golden Harvest, which is wonderful. Wandela did a wonderful job. He opened it up and he gave it to us, and we've got a Sanka satellite counselor there, and we take our kids there and we say to the kids, you can't take drugs. Okay, thank you very much. You need counseling. Okay, thank you. And off we go. That's not going to help us. We have got heroin, 25 Rand. There's another name for it. But it's 25 Rand a time. And that's what they... I'm trying to remember it.
Okay, it's not a bad name.
No. Wonka or Wonka.
Yes,
Wonka, yeah.
Wonka.
It is 25 Rand a time. Now, we have discovered that they are using children to raise the money. By the way, I did take the child. We did place. They are using children to raise money for this drug. So all the vagrants, now it's not just one, it's all the vagrants, and at my last count yesterday there was 32 behind McDonald's. These vagrants are using, or had been, till 2 weeks ago, using a child of 2 to raise funds so they could buy this stuff. They all sit around a big circle with a newspaper, and they put all their money on the newspaper, and they all sit down there around their log fire, and they buy their stuff from. He comes in and he sells it. And as you're talking to them, sir, they're nodding off. As you're talking to them, they're nodding off. You can't say anything to them in that stage. There's nothing you can do about it. You just have to make sure that whatever is going on there is not a health hazard, that you're trying to provide them with some kind of solution. So all I do at that point is try to say to them, listen, talk to me tomorrow, talk to me tomorrow, talk to me tomorrow. These kids are in trouble. They need a 6-month drug rehabilitation program. From there, it is possible for them to go into the New Life shelter or to 3 Carter Street when it's operating. From there, and then we can start working with them. Papers, documents, families. The social workers have got one huge challenge. That the young boy of 17, he's just turned 17. He's been on the street now for 2 years. He left school, he was thrown out, Markgraf or one of the Westbury or whoever it is threw them out of the school. So he's now on the street. He's got no ID, no documents, no parents. He doesn't know where he lives. Mother and father dead, this one dead, nobody knows, nobody cares. Now he's standing there. This is a typical example. How do I live? I'm not good enough to be a criminal. I need to beg. I need to do what I can. Then they start. The criminals come in, canvass him, as you rightly said, canvass him, and he starts selling drugs, selling this, standing on the corner, being a lookout, finding a taxi that will buy some stolen goods. Whatever it is, he's now destroyed. Now 2 years, he doesn't even know how to go to the toilet anymore because they're living on the street. They have no idea how to live back in society. It now needs to go to places like New Life Centre or 3 Carter Street to rehabilitate back into how to use a toilet. I mean, there's a toilet next to him. He'll go on the side of the street. He won't use the toilet. So it's another rehabilitation mindset. So that needs to be addressed. His documents need to be addressed. His education needs to be addressed. And his skills development needs to be addressed. Those are things that the city of Johannesburg have got to do. All private people, we don't have the power. I don't think any of us know how to do that. I don't think anybody knows, I can take this person now and I can try and give them a job. Oh no, I can't. Because he's totally finished. He needs more than a job. He needs more than just going to find 5 cents for bread. He needs real help. And Sanka, I've tried Sanka, and Sanka needs money. The Vagrants don't have money. The city doesn't have money to give to Sanka. So how do we fix this? And we have now there's 57 in Windsor. They've moved now because the ones that are getting too hot under the collar are moving up to Windsor. Then, of course, the younger children are staying in Cresta. It's terrible. It's terrible what you see in Cresta. It's shocking, and these are children, because they won't come into Melville anymore, because I physically pick them up and take them home. I physically, and you're not allowed to do that, because you've got to have certain status to enable to put a child in a car. But if I see a child standing begging on the corner, I have picked that child up and taken it straight back to school immediately. I walk into Markgraf's office and he says, "Not you again." I said, "Here he is. Here he is." And he's back in school. Now they're not, you will see. You see there's no children begging in Melville. There's none. Because the minute they see me, they run a mile. There was a lady there on Saturday with 4 children begging on the street, just at the robot where May's pharmacy is. 4 little children this big like this. It took me 1 second to put her and the children in the car and take them back to Westbury. And tell her if I ever catch her doing that again, she will be arrested and the children will be taken away. They're not even hers. She stays in the flats. And then I found out who their parents were and went to their parents. And I said to them, "You're a woman, what are you doing giving it to her?" So yeah, as an individual and as a cared citizen, if you do something, you can fix it. What we have done now is offer the city a sports program. We have said in the afternoon, after school, we are picking up the children from the shelters, orphan and vulnerable children, and we're bringing them to the centre. We have now got I've got soccer coaches, tennis coaches, art coaches, multi-netball coaches, dance classes for all the children. We pick them up in our own transport, which we hire ourselves, and bring them to the complex, where we teach them soccer, tennis, netball, all of it. And since then, the report backs from all the shelters and the Vagrants is that the children are off the street. Now I've got 3 soccer teams, I've got a tennis team, which I've got challenges, I must add, but we've got tennis teams, soccer teams, I've got a dance team, I've got 4 children in Johannesburg Youth Ballet. So these are children that have slipped through the cracks. There's no care for them. We're not in township, we're not in Mill Park, we're not in Sparrow School, we are on the street. And we are rehabilitating them through the city of Johannesburg. There's no child that has a right to be on the street. There is a group sitting at that table there who's taken every child I've given them and put them in a school. Every single one. So if you see a child on the street, they have no right to be there. Somebody sent them to beg. In addition to that, I'm going to finish now. My story is the complex, the sports complex, is for the community as well. I'm trying to open it up for the community. It is a beautiful piece of ground. Around the storm drain there's fauna and flora, which cotton trees. It is a lovely walk. And because the vagrants, the displaced people that sometimes sneak in there through CSI are there, it's made the residents very fearful. And it's a lovely cross track. So people are running in the streets in Melville. They can run around that storm drain. It's exactly 1 kilometer long. I'd love to put a running track there, because I've got children from the Children of Fire which come down, and as you know, they're blind and deaf. And if I had a running track around there for the residents and the children, we could put a blind rail around there. So it could be, it's great for the residents, it's great for the small children, it's great for the middle children, and it's great for the displaced people. But of course we're trying to do this on our own, as the city's bankrupt. Okay, so any assistance would be well appreciated. But my challenges, I told you, are there. Gareth over there, he's done a wonderful job. We work together from the Junction Church. He lives across the road from me, actually. He does a wonderful job. He brings he actually has gone and collected all the vagrants in the whole of Melville and brings them down to play soccer every week. These children are sober, drug-free, and he's bought them all their soccer uniforms. He has got his soccer shoes, everything, the kids, and they come down. It's so funny, because we integrated the children now. So we bought a whole lot of children from Westcliff, and another load of children from Linden, and all our shelters, which is all the shelters from the city. There's 20 shelters there. Twilight, Kakebos, Christchurch. What Melville is doing, and the city is supporting Melville to do, is amazing. Because every one of those children are coming down there and integrating. We had a huge soccer day. And they all played. Guess who won, by the way? Linden. Linden won. These are little children that in Kosi from Linden. He's a gardener, a man who works in a garden, and also from the street. That's how I'm relating it to you. He's got all the street kids in Linden and Windsor playing on this tiny little, it looks like a park. Have you seen it? Just a park. They won. They beat all these kids. So, and of course we've tugged them out. We've bought their soccer boots, their soccer outfits, their socks. We give them water and food, and we do that all. But that is just by the by. That comes from our pocket. But what it does for the whole community in Melville is actually something. because I think that you're doing a tremendous amount because we are in your area.